My title, Truth, Justice, and the American Way. I think that wasn't that Superman and how, and that's what I think it was something in that Superman shows. I mean, not the movies, the one that original show that was on TV. They said Superman he fought for truth, justice, and the American way. Well, that's what my video is about. In the United in originally in the Republic of the United States of America, we it was about truth and justice for all. All men were created equal. All this stuff is in the Constitution, folks. But and supposedly, over the years of the way the Americans lived, and they were supposedly free and all this stuff. Man, they were a lot more free than they are today. That's for sure. But this was the chant or whatever, just like our Star Spangled Banner, and how even after all the blasting and all the bombs, the flag was still flying. Just at that time, we were thought to be, even if we were down and people thought we might be out, we would still be end up coming out on top because we had God in our lives, and we were about truth and justice for all people, all men being free, all women and men being free, and that's the way it started, and when they put together the Constitution, they put together these courts. Um, you have your upper courts, I guess you would call them, like your federal courts, your Supreme Courts, all of them in between those two. And then you have your lower courts that are made to basically, yeah, I mean, you can look this up, folks. It'll tell you on Google, these lower courts were put in place to take the strain off of the Supreme Courts or the higher courts. And they didn't have the same powers as these upper courts. Uh, and they could not see all the same cases that the upper courts can see. Now the upper courts can see all the cases they can see, but they cannot handle and do the same courses or cases that the upper courts can do. Now, I want to talk about before when this was all first set up, the lower courts. They were put in place to, like I said, to help out the Supreme Courts, the federal courts, to take care of stuff that was not, the penalties weren't as big. Maybe you might not be hung for horse stealing or something. They were a lower um, cases that were basically deemed, not enough to be forced into one of the higher courts. So they set up these lower courts for that. Now, in these lower courts, even though they they could not do all cases, they still had some cases that they could do, but they still had to follow the same rules, and they also had to, in their cases, it had to be. There was a reason why a reasonable doubt beyond a reasonable doubt was put in that so that these lower courts just couldn't, oh well, we're going to go by one man only, it don't matter how much evidence you have, we're going to go by just this guy's evidence or his hearsay or his word over you and maybe a couple other, for them to do that, they're supposed to be more want more evidence, or there's so much evidence, overwhelming evidence, that the higher courts wouldn't be needed to settle this stuff. So they, if it was something that was complicated or something, they should have passed it on to the higher courts and let the higher courts deal with it. And that's what they used to do. These courts were also these lower courts, and that all of them swore oaths to uphold and defend the Constitution of the Republic of the United States of America. I'm talking about in the beginning, not today, folks. Yeah, you notice I said republic and not democracy. We'll get to the democracy part, but these courts were also used to resolve private disputes. Folks, I'm taking notes because there's some things I can't say that I got to stick with my notes. So you know this. They would also resolve private disputes that couldn't be settled between the two people or the two families or whatever, corporation, whatever was involved, and they would decide them with a peaceful outcome that maybe both people or both sides could deal with or agree to anyway. They were put in place and made sure that even poor people, would get the same justice as everybody else that had money, that could afford these top-notch lawyers and stuff. It was to ensure all people were given justice. Liberty is blindfolded for a reason. We don't see race, wealth, power, anything like that. Just goes with the facts. The courts, when they were originally set up, these lower courts was basically a checks and balance, because these lower courts could be appealed. And that's, most of the time you people go into court unless you're facing murder charges or something. And even in that, you can appeal those cases. But these cases, in these lower courts are easily appealed. I mean, basically you pay $60 or something, and you can almost get any of these lower court cases appealed. It don't take a lot. Let's see. Okay, now let's get into today and the court systems. And we'll talk about their actions. I mean, they're still supposed to be following and doing the same thing. But some things changed. We went from being a republic to a demonocracy. Now, this happened after the Civil War, during the Civil War, at the beginning of the Civil War, one of the three. But it had something to do with the Civil War. And after the Civil War, we were a demonocracy instead of a republic. Now, you hear me saying demonocracy, all I did was add an N in democracy, and you got demonocracy. Isn't that funny how this stuff kind of always works out? Especially in the English language. Anyway, these lower courts are no longer there to decide what really happened and see that the justice is served like they originally were. They're put in place for one reason and one reason only, folks: revenue. Now, if you want to look up the word revenue, it's just another word for income. Look it up. It's even on their own search engine, Google. Revenue is another word for income. And that's all these lower courts are today, is income for the city, township, county, state, whatever. Because state troopers, I'll tell you what, in Ohio, where I live, the state troopers they not only write, they are the ones that hide around town writing speeding tickets and seatbelt tickets and stuff. The Boardman Township police officers, I see them every now and then pull somebody over or something. Maybe they do write tickets, but all the tickets I've been involved with it's always been a state trooper. So, and That's state revenue. That money goes to the state if a state trooper is behind it. If it's a Boardman Township police officer behind it, then it goes to Boardman Township. If it's a sheriff deputy, Sheriff Green deputy that's behind it, then it goes to the county. But it's revenue, income. It doesn't have anything to do with truth, justice. Well, I was going to say, or the American way, but it has become the American way. It wasn't, but it has become the American way. Now, there ain't a one of them that does this on their own. These courts don't do it by themselves. Oh, no. They have to have, what's the best? I mean, they call themselves LEOs, law enforcement officers. But there's a better word for it. It's tax collectors. Because that's what they are, tax collectors. The police departments are tax collectors, revenue builders, income providers for the cities, townships, counties, and state. That's what they are. I don't care what any of them say. They all claim, oh, no, we're here. We keep the peace. We protect and serve. Scrawler. Yeah, I agree with you on that, Shannon. But we protect and serve. We're peace officers. We're here to help you. You shouldn't be scared of us. Now, if that's true, then explain this. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. You live in a small city, 60,000 people like Boardman Township. Yeah, well, that's true. Protect and serve who? Yeah, they are protecting and serving their masters, the Federal Reserve, all these townships, and that is who they're protecting and serving. The corporation, that's what I was looking for. They're protecting and serving the corporations. So, but let me see, what was I getting back to here? And they're all, this is it though. This is the thing that today, now back in the day when all these lower courts were doing their things and we had the sheriffs and the marshals doing their things, those guys all swore an oath, and most of them, well, to a certain point, they kept their oaths back then, because back then somebody'd shoot them or hang them for treason. Yeah, protecting the bosses of corporate America. But everybody from the rookie that just got out of the training academy where he was trained to lie his ass off to everybody that they considered that was civilian, and that all the civilians were enemies. They were all lawbreakers, just depending on if you was able to catch them doing it or not. All the way from one of them rookies all the way up to the doggone police chief, to the damn sheriff of any county, to the governors, to the mayors, to the township, what they call trustees, to anybody who had to swear an oath to uphold and defend and protect the Constitution and has not done it. They are all today oath breakers, which in the United States, where the Constitution was in play, they should have all been held responsible, accountable for treason. Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about, Shannon. I've done videos on birth certificates, social security numbers. I mean, I can go on. about how I mean, the Act of 1871 basically turned the country, the counties, the states, everything, even the human beings, into corporations. So believe me, I know what you're talking about, Shannon. I've got many videos on it, and I used to have about 7 Facebook pages that had all kinds of stuff on. How you doing, Trish? I didn't get a chance to read that before it faded away, but I'm trying to keep up with my notes here, guys. But they're all oath breakers today. All of them. I don't care who they are. There ain't one of them defending my rights. They're not defending anybody's rights. They're not defending the Constitution. They're not defending. I don't know. They are revenue income builders for the corporation. If you call them anything else, if they believe they are anything else, they are only fooling themselves, or you are fooling yourself. None of them, from the veterans in the military to the cops to the politicians, none of them have kept their oath, ever. Now we get into these prosecutors. Now these guys, I can understand. They're prosecutors and they're dealing with thieves and drug dealers and rapists and child molesters and whatever. They're dealing with this kind of people all the time. Yeah, they get cold-hearted. They don't care, and it's all about the money. Hell with it. But before we became a democracy and we were a republic, they used to have to do a job, like investigate things, like question whoever said this and try to find some evidence to back that. Today, the prosecutor doesn't do none of that. He don't want anything more in that courtroom than what it takes to push his point, and that's it. He's not looking for truth. He's not looking for justice. He's looking for a conviction so he can mark his damn belt or his bedboard or his desk or wherever he can put another notch in it that he's put somebody else in prison for probably some bullshit stuff. And they proved it to me. When I went in last week for my trial, they didn't give me my discovery before that. I knew there wasn't going to be a trial on that day. They didn't even plan on it. But they didn't want to ask for a continuance. They wanted me to ask for it. That way it looks like I'm the one that's needing more time. Well, the only evidence, they claimed they had a witness that wasn't even there. The only evidence they had is the corrupted police officer that made these false charges, tried to illegally detain me, and I didn't let him. And also accused me of driving on a suspended license, which none of them have ever seen my license suspended. But they still made the false lie and have charged me with it. They had me out on a $1,500 OR bond. But none of these prosecutors give a crap about the facts. And just like this one told me, I asked him, okay, well, did you do any investigations to find out if your officer of this court, Officer Steve Dubas of Boardman Township, Ohio, if he could have possibly lied in any way, shape, or form? Seeing how a week before he had me arrested on a Monday was the first time I ever met him, and he tried to force a mask on my face. And I told him no and walked away from him. He harassed me all the way through a store that I already had permission to be in without the mask on. Chased me all the way out of the store. I went down and filed a complaint on him. Tried to file harassment charges against him, but the damn police chief wouldn't let me do it. At first, they wouldn't even give me a complaint form. I had to come back the next day, talk to the captain. I finally got a complaint form, got it in. 3 days later, he finds out, Officer Dubas finds out I had made a complaint on him. And guess what? I was arrested. And these false charges made, which led to my arrest at my house. And like I said, now the prosecutors, I asked them, we were supposed to go to trial on the 9th. I asked them, where's everybody at? Where's the arresting police officers? Because the clown that put these charges on me, he wasn't there at my house when I was arrested. Where are they at? Where's the witness that said I almost run him over with my car? Where's anybody to back this police officer's story? Even the witness they claim they had was not there. And I looked at the prosecutor and asked him, where are all these people? Are we looking for the truth? Where are all these people? He said, we don't need them. All we need is clown ass. We don't need anybody else. That's true, because if they went with anybody else, if they called the 2 officers in that actually arrested me, took me down, booked me, and then brought me home back to my house, if they were there, they might help me. So the prosecutor didn't want them there. So now they throw it into my lap and say, oh, if you want them here, you're going to have to get them summoned yourself. Well, now I got a call, or I got an email from the police chief of Boardman Township, Ohio, that told me because I would pull over and talk to his officers, or I would record them doing something, and a few of them were getting friendly with me, and they would give me inside information without knowing it about what was going on. And I had videos on them. And he didn't like this. So he sent me a mail, or after they got through with my harassment charges against Officer Dubas, and he said there was no wrongdoing. And he told me he's going to file charges on me if I keep stopping and talking to his police officers. He's going to file charges against me for obstructing a duty of a police officer. Even when they're sitting on the side of the road doing nothing but talking to other people, too. It's all right for them to talk to other people, just not me anymore. And these guys, they turn their lights on, run the other way. They see me coming right now. Because I guess they'll get in trouble if they get caught up in one of my videos, especially talking to me. So these guys run the opposite way right now, especially with this case going on. Now, the police chief told me that. Now, I want to get these guys summoned into court. Well, he's telling me if I go up to say, they could charge me with disrupting their duty if I go up and summons them. The other funny thing is that the Giant Eagle, where they claim that they needed me criminally trespassed from, Trish, you guys, I'm not reading none of these. I'm trying to keep on focus. I will read them later and get back with you or something, or catch me at the end here. Hell, I lost my train of thought. Where was I at? Oh, yeah, one of my main witnesses that I need, the guy in my video that gave me permission to be on the property, is I can't get to him because the Boardman Township Police Department has trespassed me from the property that he works on. So isn't that kind of funny? The people they know I need as witnesses, they've threatened me with charges if I go around them. So isn't that just great? And they tell me, well, I guess you'll have to get a lawyer or something. They are pushing me to get a lawyer. And I ain't gonna do it. I ain't gonna pay a lawyer to beat these clowns on these trumped up charges. I ain't gonna do it. But they're fighting me. None of them, their oaths don't mean shit. The facts don't mean shit. The truth don't mean shit. All that matters is if they could suck $100 or more out of me, put me on probation where they could suck some more money out of me, or put me in jail where they could suck even more money out of me. That's all it's about, money. These people worship money. They worship money. Does that tell you guys anything? And like I said, folks, facts don't matter to them. Now, that is a note. That is a video I wanted to do there. But I do got one last thing to say. Let me see here, Truth. With the anger of the public. Oh, yeah, that's for sure. They're trying to piss everybody off. Lawyers work for the system anyway. You're right, Shannon. That's why I will not hire one of their member buddies. The deputies should quit rather than work for. I agree. I've given him a chance. Hey, Adam Weber, I see you out there. Trish, I told him, I said, man, just quit. I said, you don't need to be a cop. I said, there's a reason why I'm not a cop. And I told him flat out, I said, by God, if somebody put a badge on my chest, gun on my hip, put me in one of them funny uniforms, I'm sure I'd do exactly what this cop did to me. Be walking, say a word to me, say a word, I'll put you in jail, say a word, I'll shoot you dead, just say a word. And that's why we have the situation we have today with cops and badges and uniforms. They think the badges and uniforms and guns and weapons that they strap around their waist gives them more rights and more freedoms and more control of everybody else out on the road. And it's not true. But we've given them that. We've made them believe it, or they wouldn't think that. We've allowed them to believe it. But let me see. Read some more of these. Good luck. I thank you for that good luck, Weber, but Jesus is my lawyer, so I don't really need luck. I'm sorry you're going. This is what I tell you, I'll be paying. Deliver you from it. I appreciate any prayers anybody wants to throw at me. Please throw them my way. I need them. I try to pray. I try to include everybody, even throughout the day. If I see somebody that has even as much as a disability or something, I stop immediately and pray for them. If I think they're just having a bad day, I stop and then I pray for them. Praying is so important, people. If we could all pray for each other, this place would be a lot better place, that's for sure. But I do appreciate you on that. One last thing before I go, folks. I just want to explain to you, evil is evil. And sometimes it can be blood. Blood can be some of the evilest people in the world. Now, I don't know if you've paid any attention to half my videos, but just this year alone, I'm not even going to go back to December 21st and my dad dying, but just this year alone, 2021, about January 6th, after my dad died, I drove down to see my mother, all the way to Athens, Alabama from northeastern Ohio. 700 miles. Now, my mom had been taken over to my sister's house and basically held captive there. I got down there, I went to my mom's house, nobody there. My mom and dad's house, nobody there. So I went to my sister's to try to see her. My sister and her husband would not let me see my mom. Now, the evil was so heavy down there. I got up and left the next morning, bright and early, got out of there. My sister, you have to understand, she's Satan's bride. But she tried to lay out rules for me that I could not see. If I was going to see my mom, there was certain rules I had to follow or that wasn't going to happen, and I couldn't be alone with my mother. And I told my sister years ago I would never let her control me in any way, shape, or form ever again. And I wasn't going to let her use my mother to do it either. So I left and came back home. Her two sons kept me from even talking to my mother again. Just last month, my mom died. I didn't even know she died till 2 days after she died. I still have not been called by any of my blood family and be told that she died. I only heard it through a friend and a text. My sister took everything. She got all my mom and dad's 401k. She got their savings accounts. She cleaned them out. She got somehow, before my dad even died, she got power of attorney, medical power of attorney over him. And she took everything. She got the house, everything in the house, everything from my dad's tools, generators, and all kinds of stuff, all the furniture in the house, a TV, everything. She got it all. She cleaned out all the accounts and everything. And after my mom died, I called all of them, her and the two sons. And I told them, I now no longer have any reason to ever get in contact with you again. You've stolen it all from me and my brothers. You've gotten it all. There's no reason for you to ever have contact with me again. And I blocked their numbers from calling my phone and then took their numbers off my phone. Well, one of these clowns he won't leave well enough alone. He sends my nephew sends my son a text at about 12 o'clock in the middle of the night. My son works full time during the day, goes to school at night, learning to be an electrician. This clown don't work ever, and he calls my son all the time during hours that my son can't even talk to him. But he calls my son and leaves a text message just trying to get at me, and tells my son how my sister has found money that my dad had filed for years ago through the military that they owed him. And he was filing for it, and the military came up with something. There was a fire somewhere, and they couldn't even prove he was ever even in the military. Even though he could show him his original DD 214 and his discharge papers from when he got out of the Korean War. He had the original copies in his hands, and they still refused it. And the VA would not help him. Nobody would help him. Well, right before he died, the military came back and said, we've straightened it all out. And we now know, you were a vet. And somehow he was supposed to get a check from the military. Now, I don't know how much. I knew he said it was going to be a lot. But my nephew, just to rub it in my face that they're going to get even more, he texts my son to tell him that his mother is pretty sure, and the lawyer that I guess they got is pretty sure that they're going to get this money. And my sister told my two nephews that everybody will be set after that, which doesn't mean anybody else other than her and my two nephews. And my two nephews are going to get screwed big time in the end. They'll end up helping her get it because they're family and they can make claims for family. See, my sister won't have nothing to do with me or her brothers, her other brothers, because she knows we know what she is. But they're now saying, and they can't leave me alone. They got to keep in my head. And the only reason they do this is because they're evil, folks. They're trying to keep hate in my head. And that's why I cut myself out of their lives. Because I'm telling you, people, they're easy to hate. They're easy to hate. And I don't want to hate anybody. I don't want to hate anybody. So instead of hating you, I'll cut you out of my life. But I just want to show you people, man. This evil is everywhere, and it just attacks from all sides. And the stronger your faith gets with the Lord, the more evil is going to attack you. And it's just an ongoing fight. And how I laugh about it, I don't even know, but it is an ongoing fight. And I know it is for you all too. That's why I try to pray for everybody, you know. Everybody. I mean, I used to have big shoulders. I don't have them anymore, but I used to have big shoulders. I could carry a lot, you know. But if you're not strong-willed and have God and Jesus in your heart, Holy Spirit in your soul, people, you're not going to be able to handle this stuff, you know. But I just want to thank all of you that pray for me and pray for my granddaughter and pray for my whole family. We all need it. We all need it. We all need to pray for each other. So I'm going to get off here, guys. That was just another night with Watachi. So make no mistakes, folks. God loves you, and so do I. And there's only one way out of this, and that's through Jesus Christ. I'm sorry to hear that, Shannon. That's a hard struggle. I've fought it for 50-some years, man. 50-some years. And I thought once my mom and dad were both gone, it would be over. They won't let it be over. Right back at you, Shannon. Right back at you. You guys, that's it for me. Till next time, have a good one.